Well, a great big howdy, folks. I'm glad to be back once more. Good morning to you all on this nice Tuesday. Last week, the Commissioner of Agriculture of North Carolina, Mr. Steve Troxler, made a trip down to Rocky Mount. He was part of an agricultural forum that involved farmers and agribusiness people, and it was all hosted by Nash Community College. They had panels, they had speeches, and Commissioner Troxler brought a message about the state of agriculture to those in attendance. And I'd like to share this now. This was printed in the Rocky Mount Telegram from last week. North Carolina Agriculture Commissioner Steve Troxler said that he believes there must be an infusion of capital if agriculture in the state is going to get through the impact of Hurricane Helene in September and a 2024 low commodity prices and high production costs that are in play. Troxler made the remarks Wednesday at the second annual agricultural forum held in the Rocky Mount Event Center. This was at Nash Community College. He told the audience in attendance that he went to the North Carolina General Assembly with a proposal that was like something that occurred in the aftermath of Hurricane Florence in 2018 to help residents with covering part of the cost of the uninsured losses. And quite frankly, I think I choked them up, Troxler said, of the reaction of lawmakers to the plan. It was over $1 billion. That's what Troxler said he thinks it's going to take to fully recover from the loss and devastation of Helene. Troxler said that North Carolina has spent massive amounts of money bringing new industries to the state. And boy, have we been successful, Troxler said. The explosion of industry and population is rapidly changing North Carolina. Troxler noted that agriculture still has an enormous impact on the economy statewide, to the tune of being $111 billion in industry in the state. He said that the legislature wants to see what the federal government is going to do before making a commitment. The problem, Commissioner Troxler said, is that every day something is not done. The time to plant crops comes nearer, and farmers need to be able to borrow money to be able to operate. Troxler, a Republican, was re-elected in November to a sixth consecutive four-year term in office. Troxler is second to North Carolina Secretary of State Elaine Marshall, a Democrat, in current years of service as a statewide elected official. Marshall was first elected in 1996. Troxler spoke Wednesday at Nash Community College Brown Auditorium at a gathering organized by the Rocky Mount Area Chamber of Commerce and the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, originating from the Nash County Center. Looking back at 2024, he spoke of a drought occurring in the summertime, followed by a bit of relief with the coming of rain, but it rained too much, he said. He spoke of stormy weather striking southeastern North Carolina in September and depositing 20 inches of rain in some areas in what was a 1 in 1,000 chance of occurring every year. He noted that he had already seen two 500-year events in Hurricane Matthew in 2016 and Hurricane Florence, and that Tropical Storm Debby came through North Carolina in August and in the process brought much rain and wind. As for the impact of Hurricane Helene, Troxler said that he has never seen devastation like that in his lifetime. I have made numerous trips through the mountains in helicopters and surveyed all these counties and talked to people, Troxler said. And this parallels what has gone on in Los Angeles, Troxler said of the wildfire that earlier this month devastated a significant part of the nation's second largest city. And if you've seen those pictures and that devastation. We have the amount of devastation in North Carolina in the mountains, Troxler said. And unless you can see it in its totality, it's hard to believe. He noted that an Agriculture Department employee lost 11 family members because of mudslides. It's horrific, he said, of the situation, and it hasn't improved a lot, quite frankly, as he said, surveying the scene, and it's a long time or a long road to recovery. He also noted that an official who had been with the Agriculture Department more than half a century reminded him that the difference between the impact of the wildfires in Los Angeles and the impact of Hurricane Helene on western North Carolina is that even after the wildfires, the soil remains in place in the Los Angeles area. And Troxler spoke of the loss of soil in the fields and valleys of western North Carolina because of Hurricane Helene. It was unbelievable, he said. He spoke of having gone to Asheville on January 24th, where he and fellow officials and leaders met with President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. And I was encouraged by his commitment to repair western North Carolina and restore it, Troxler said of the Republican president. I think his appearance there really gave people some hope, and I hope that hope turns into a response. As for the state of agriculture in North Carolina, Troxler said, I wish I could stand here today and say the numbers look bright for 2025. They don't. Commodity prices remain low and production costs remain high. That means turning a profit on some of these crops will be dicey, Troxler said. Troxler also used the Speaker's podium Wednesday to make clear his belief in the need to have a federal farm bill instead continuing to kick the proverbial can down the road. Troxler said that the Farm Bill, which governs an assortment of agricultural and food programs, has not been adjusted since 2017. At the same time, he said that in 2024, he saw both the best and the worst in the state, with the worst being Hurricane Helene and the best being the people of North Carolina and their response in helping other people. He also said there are some bright spots in agriculture in the state, with animal-related industries continuing to remain strong. He made clear that he believes North Carolina's diversity between animal-related industries and crops is really the state's strength in agriculture. And we're going to lean on that to get us through all of this, he said. So Commissioner Troxler is doing his best to facilitate good things, and I believe he's well on the way to doing it, or he's already accomplished that, as more good things continue to happen and as we sit back and look forward to better good things happening. Recently we enjoyed Groundhog Day, and it depends on how you interpret this. Is it fact or fiction? And the idea being, if the groundhog on that given day sees his shadow, that means that there'll be 6 more weeks of bad weather or winter weather. If he doesn't, spring will come early. Here is a little bit of the history of Groundhog Day. Each year on February 2nd, tens of thousands of spectators flock to a wooded area in the small town of Puxaquaney, Pennsylvania, to watch the town's official spring forecaster, Puxaquaney Field, emerge from his burrow. The gathering is part of a ritual during which the groundhog looks for its shadow, while the crowd eagerly awaits the animal's prediction for the timing of spring's arrival. The prediction is supposedly communicated to a group of men wearing tuxedos and top hats, who then issue a proclamation to the crowd in the regional Pennsylvania Dutch dialect. This curious American ritual, which is rooted in ancient Celtic traditions, was started in the late 19th century as a small festival put on by a group of the Royal Order of Elks in Puxaguawany, Pennsylvania, and today the unofficial holiday is observed annually throughout the United States and Canada and brings as many as 40,000 visitors and locals together in the Puxaguawany each year. The modern tradition of Groundhog Day has its roots in the ancient Celtic festival called Imbolc, which was a holiday celebrated in the British Isles that marked the beginning of seasons, the changing of them, and the beginning of spring. Observed from February 1 to sundown on February 2nd, the holiday helped farmers in those regions determine when to plant crops and signal the beginning of the lambing season for sheep farmers. During the Imbolc festival, people in the British Isles celebrated the return of longer stretches of daylight and the coming of the warmer and summer days of spring. So that is how it started, and it is indeed a tremendous gathering and feature in that little town in Pennsylvania. So let's see, what did Puxaguawany Phil predict? And this is what he predicted. On February 2nd, 2024, the groundhog Puxaguawany Phil made his annual appearance at Gobbler's Knob in Pennsylvania and supposedly communicated a message to the president of the Inner Circle, the group that conducts the Groundhog Day ritual each year in Puxaguawany, PA. The president relayed the message to the Inner Circle's vice president, who then read the following ceremonial proclamation to a crowd of thousands of spectators, declaring that Phil did not see his shadow and announcing the early arrival of spring. So I repeat again, in regard to this ritual, Phil the groundhog did not see his shadow, and that announced the early arrival of spring, so we'll see. Now on this February 2nd, Puxaguawany Phil, the seer of seers, the prognosticator of all prognosticators, was awakened from his early wintry nap at the dawn of Gobbler's Knob. Phil looked to the skies and then, speaking in groundhogese, directed the president to the proper scroll, which reads, and it continues to allude that he did not see his shadow and that there'll be an early spring. We'll look forward to that, and we'll see how it unfolds. My time is up. Thank you for tuning me in, allowing me to be with you today. I look forward to being with you next week. Have a good week, and God bless.